welcome to Juicy Scoop. As always, I have a great show, lots of hot topics to cover, recaps, as well as a really interesting interview with the star of My Unorthodox Life. It's a big hit on Netflix. I've got Julia Haart here, and that's going to come up in a bit. Let me just tell you about my weekend in Seattle. I want to thank everybody who came to the 3 sold out shows. So fun. Loved meeting you all. Kind of a juicy thing happened when we were there. Justin Martindale was my opener as he, performed before me, and that was great. And with the meet and greets, I have a limited number of meet and greets that you can purchase. You go to heathermcdonald.net, go to the show you want to go. Some of those meet and greets are going to be sold out. Some are going to be available. So just check it out, and you can always figure it out or call the venue if there's an issue. However, when they're sold out because I want that experience to be special for you guys and safe. So we're in the green room at where I'm like eating something really quick before my scheduled meet and greet after the show last night, after the second show. And these 2 beautiful, delightful sisters come up through the back stairway into our green room, which means they came up on stage when no one was looking, came around the side, and walked up the stairs. Now, it didn't freak me out that much. I was surprised to see them. But like all Juicy Scoopers, they're total delights. And they're sisters, and they're a little buzzed, and they're having fun, and they're, I remember having a rapport with one of them online. And so we take a couple photos and I go, okay, you shouldn't have done that, but who cares? And goodbye. And now I have to go do my meet and greet with Justin. So we come back after finishing our meet and greet, and now let me just say, in many cities, Seattle included, there's some scary frickin' people. There's no kind of laws about loitering or scary people hanging out and torturing the people that aren't scary. In many cities, Los Angeles isn't the only one pegged with this. So unfortunately, there's some scary people that are hanging outside the triple door that are screaming, and it's like zombies. It's really scary. So all of a sudden, we just hear this pounding on the door right outside of our green room that has the door that has like a silver thing, so you would think that would take you to like the outdoor alley. So that's what I think it is, the outdoor alley. And these people are pounding on the door, screaming. Thank God I've got, 6'4" Justin Martindale, pretty big guy, pretty fit guy. He immediately, make sure that door is locked. And then he shuts the second door to the green room, and he puts a door in front of it, and he's literally holding it with his body while I try to find security. There is no security there. The people are just like working and cleaning up. I just assume they're crazy people, that are mentally ill, that are trying to get into the venue. Anyway, we then tell the woman that works there, can you go see what's up? I don't know if they're like people that went to the show and then somehow went out the wrong door. And she goes, well, that door doesn't go to the alley. It goes to like nothing. It's like a utility closet or something. And I go, well, somebody's in there. And now this is like 20 minutes after we heard the original banging. She goes in there. She's like, nobody's there and there's no way out. So we're like, are there freaking ghosts? What the hell? They're like, what do you mean there's no way out? The only way out is if you would have opened the door. And since you didn't open the door and the woman that was helping us all night didn't open the door, we're like, and there's no way out to the outside world. We're just thinking, okay, I don't know. Ghosts of Seattle? I don't know. We get in the car to leave. We're like, I hope it wasn't those girls. I hope that they're okay. And Justin's like, oh my God, suddenly the water starts turning brown. This is like Netflix Hotel Cecil. They're trapped in some weird utility closet for the rest of their lives. Like, what happened? He wakes up the next morning, Justin, and he gets a DM, and he realized it was left at 12:01 from the 2 sisters who poor girls wrote, me and my friend, I thought they were sisters, anyway, are stuck in the triple door. Open the doors. We are not murderers or weird. Now I wonder if it was these girls or other girls. Anyway, Then he said, "Oh my God, I'm sorry I didn't check the stories." So they said that they called their dad and they contacted a server and they did escape. So they're not stuck in the triple door until they die and are discovered, when the next comedian comes there. But yeah, so that's the way I roll. A lot of people are like, "Oh, do you have private security? Do you have people?" No, I don't. I don't always have a tall, strong guy like Chris or Justin with me. So it's an adventure being on the road. However, again, such fun shows. Loved meeting you guys all. Had a blast. Seattle was gorgeous, besides this some of the scary people that were outside. Okay, Britney Spears got engaged, you guys. Sam, her now fiance, but boyfriend for a long time, presented her with a really beautiful, brilliant cut diamond, just a simple band. Looks like it's at least 3 carats, maybe more. And she seems very happy. And right away, people started to write. One person being Octavia Spencer, the award-winning actress. Hope you get a prenup. And Sam wrote, "Yes, we will." And then he put on his stories, the fiance Sam, "Thank you, everyone who's concerned about the prenup. Of course, we're getting ironclad prenup to protect my Jeep and shoe collection in case she dumps me one day." 2 crying faces. I think that makes everybody feel great, that there's an open dialogue with Britney and her concerned fans, and that he is aware of it and he is not out for the wrong reasons. It's out in the open. We don't have to wonder about it. I know for a long time I've heard nothing but good things about Sam, from Lance Bass, who met him many years ago, to some of the people who are kind of insiders, just all positive things. So I think this is a great start. As I told you, I don't love the nudity photos. I don't love her just, showing her naked boobs all over Instagram. That's just me. I don't like that she goes, "I had to repost these because the previous ones were fuzzy." They weren't fuzzy. These look exactly the same. Whatever. It looks like hopefully she's got control of her Instagram too, whether I like it or not. I just want her to live the life she deserves to live. And hopefully they will be able to have a child together. She said that's what she wanted. The dad has, in fact, filed to remove himself from the conservatorship. Everything looks to be moving in a positive way for her. So there you go. Kim Kardashian is in New York right now for Fashion Week, and the Met Ball is tonight. Well, you're hearing this Tuesday, but the Met Ball, I believe, is Monday night. So, and she's been, helping to promote Kanye, her soon-to-be ex-husband, or is he's, album. And first she dressed up like a bride and kind of did this thing at his listening concert, kind of matching what her wedding outfit was, her bridal outfit. Now she's wearing all black, thigh-high boots, a long black trench, tied at the waist, a Ballman sparkly bag, and then a dominatrix complete leather mask over her head, where I guess she just opens these zipper slits and she can see through that. And that's what she's been wearing out in New York a couple days ago. I don't know if that's what she'll also be wearing tonight at the Met. Easy day for the glam squad that had to fly to New York. I mean, I don't know. Do you even bring the makeup artist, or does the makeup artist just get the day off? Is this like a great way? First of all, very COVID friendly, very COVID friendly. No one can bitch at her for going out and having fun in New York. No one can accuse her of smiling on 9/11 because she had her face covered. So, who knows? Are they going to show up together at the Met? Are they married or they're not? I don't know, because I'm recording this Monday. Anyway, here we go. I think it's weird. I think it's awful. But I also think she's just a genius marketing person. We've seen every inch of her body. We've seen her face with all the makeup so many times. Why not do this? Why not do this? Gets Juicy Scoop, Heather McDonald, to talk about it. So do it. Like I said, what a time saver. And then she just has like one pony in the back. Another thing is, how long she would spend making sure that every line of her, every hair was slicked back and perfect, or if she did the little like wet curls around her. That takes time. don't need to do this either when you have a full black face mask over your face. Remember Meredith of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City? She wore that chain link mask on her face one day, on that show I'm going to get to in a second, where she was like, I'm disengaging. I'm disengaging with a mask on my face. Speaking of which, also with the Met, Kylie has announced via social media, Kylie Jenner, she is not going to make the Met, and she did not go to the VMAs not VMAs, sorry, MTV Awards. She did not go to the MTV Awards last night with her father of her children. And he, when he won, did not acknowledge her or the new baby, but he did acknowledge Stormy. And so some people thought that was a sign that there might be trouble in paradise, that they're not going to the Met together like they did the previous year, and that he didn't mention her, didn't thank Kylie in his speech. But then Kylie put on her Instagram stories a photo of him winning the award from last night, a bunch of looks from previous Met balls that she's attended, and then another little card of her saying, so sorry to miss it this year, can't wait to see everyone's looks. So I think she kind of squashed whatever rumors people were thinking. If they were having some issues, I think she doesn't think it's anything permanent, would like to squash that. And, she's pregnant with the second baby, and she was, never went out with Stormy. So I think she's very much a billionaire who can do what she wants. And when she wants to get into glam and have a blast, she does. And when she's just kind of over it, she doesn't. And I think that's great. Megan Fox, who is dating Machine Gun Kelly. As you know, Megan Fox is an actress, and she was once married to Brian Austin Green, and they had 3 boys together. And she goes to the MTV Awards, and she is wearing similar to, oh God, who was the girl? Can't remember who did it. But she dated Marilyn Manson. She did the same naked kind of thing. Look it up. But basically, Megan Fox is wearing like a brown bra. We're not seeing nipples. And then very, very tiny, those tiny bikini pants that are white. They almost look like a COVID mask that you'd put around your vagina. And then a super, super sheer thing. So she's basically in a bra and underwear at the event. Her body is beyond banging, obviously. People noticed that at one time she had a tattoo that I guess was Brian Austin Green's name or something. That has been removed. I think it was on her ribs. That happened. And then while they were on the red carpet, what is his name? This like MFA fighter guy, Connor, I think. Conor McGregor, I guess, tried to beat up Machine Gun Kelly because Machine Gun Kelly didn't want to take a photo with him. And he just was like pissed. And then I watched some footage, and it was pretty scary for Megan Fox. She's a mother of 3 boys, so that probably was a scary moment for her. I'm being a judgy mother right now because I have boys the same age as Britney Spears' boys, and she has 3 boys. So I asked Brandon, my son, who is 15, as I drove him to school, I go, how would you feel if what do you think about a mom who has boys around your age that wears just like a bikini and like a completely sheer thing and is wearing that on like a red carpet? And he just stopped and he's like, did you do that? Like, no, I don't get invited to many red carpets. I said, no, I didn't. And he asked me again about OnlyFans. I told you, I said, look, I don't have to do OnlyFans. I have my brain and my voice to have a career. Fortunately for me, also my body isn't really good enough. But listen, and same thing with this. I'm like, I don't think my body's good enough to wear this outfit. But he said he would not enjoy it. And I said, what if you knew the boy whose mother was wearing this? What do you think would happen in school? He goes, he'd probably get bullied, but I wouldn't be the one bullying him. I said, well, that's good, Brandon. Who cares? I guess who really cares? I mean, I don't think anyone's messing. Hopefully people aren't saying anything to anybody at school, but I'd love to know. I'd love to know if either one of these kids, Britney's kids or Megan's kids, if any of their friends give them any shit or not. I'm just curious. Or if like this generation's so evolved that they wouldn't do that. That they'd be like, hey, your mom, it's her body, her choice. She can do whatever the hell she wants. I'm not even gonna say she's hot. I don't know. But it's not an original look, is my point. And Kim Kardashian wore a similar wet hair, dripping, naked thing, which I remember in Keeping Up. Kanye didn't like that outfit. He thought it was too much, and they actually got in a pretty honest fight that we got to see on Keeping Up about that outfit, and she wore that to the Met. Interesting. Also at the MTV Awards that happened was besides the fight, oh, J-Lo was there and she looked hot, and Billie Eilish, they cut to her. Now, it was just at that moment she wasn't cheering with anyone else. And then that started a discussion of like, who the hell does Billie Eilish think she is? Well, I don't know. Why does she have to cheer for J-Lo? I have no problem with that. Okay, let's talk about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Wednesday night's episode was the episode that we had been seeing clips of, wondering what was going to go down. It was the dinner party from hell but heaven for us. Kathy Hilton is spread over 2 episodes. Kathy Hilton had a beautiful dinner with baccarat glass, and then she also has like a you know what, like when you go bowling and there's those claw machines like in the arcade that like get a prize, and it's just like a depressing sad thing. Anyway, she's got one. I don't know what the prizes are, diamonds or something, in her dining room that was not really addressed in the show, but people were able to see it when watching and kind of freeze frame it. Very interesting. Anyway, we know that Erika Jayne knows that Sutton is concerned about her reputation, concerned they might be, pulled into some type of deposition or some type of thing with this, explosive lawsuit that's going on with Erika Jayne. And Erika Jayne just wasn't happening. First of all, her nip was out the entire time. She had like a black bustier on and then this like shirt with holes in it, and it's pretty much out the whole time, so they had to fuzz it. But anyway, she's like, talks to Sutton, and Sutton's like, well, I did want to talk to you, Erika, because I just wanted to clear some things up. Don't you ever fucking talk to me again. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. I mean, I peed a little watching it. I was freaking terrified. Kyle's face was like, Kathy's face is like, because that's her face all the time, just like, calm down. Calm, Erika. Calm down. And she's just like, you have no idea what I'm going through. Look at me. Look at my life. Look at my life. Every day, I have to put up with what people are saying about me in the press. And you, Sutton. I mean, her voice changes. Normally when I do my Erika voice, it's like, it's expensive to be me. I have 2 planes. But when she is like vicious, it gets really deep, and it was scary as shit. And then she's like, and then Sutton's kind of like, or what, Erika? Or what are you going to do? And she's like, you want to get sued? Do you want to get sued, Sutton? Now, this is juicy because that's some scary shit. And Sutton starts to freak out. And interesting, she had this like jacket on with like 2 faces on each side, which is like, I'm not 2 faces, I'm 3. Anyway, so she's and I thought, yeah, if I was Sutton too, I'd be like, I'm getting out of here. This is just like terrifying. So she gets up to leave, and she's getting upset. So some of the girls run after her, and who runs after her? Garcelle, who's like the voice and the face of reason, because all Garcelle does is just go, And when Erika was crying, she tried to console her, and she's like, you can take your hands off of me now. Garcelle said, what? You can let me go now. And then tears came down. This time she did have the waterproof mascara, so it was a clear tear that just broke up the foundation on her face. And Garcelle was sitting next to it, tried to wipe it, and she was like pushing away from her. It was so uncomfortable. And then Dorit was there, and Dorit goes, Erika, please, please listen to me, mind you. I was talking to PK earlier, and even PK, we've been sued more times than we can count. He's been in a bankruptcy for over $500 million. But he came out on top, mind you, because he wasn't acting like you. I mean, there's got to be a level of decorum. I mean, maybe don't spread your legs in some lingerie and say, all these buffoons can lick my pussy, mind you, which is what she was posting at that time in the Fenty, which is Rihanna's lingerie line. She was an ambassador of it. And at the time, she was posting all these super sexy photos right when this was being shot, when this information was out. And I guess a sleuth noticed that if you go back and look at those posts, she has no longer tagged Fenty. They must have asked to be removed from those posts. But she, in fact, wrote those things. All these buffoons can go ahead and lick my pussy, or something horrible like that. And PK was the voice of reason, because he said to Dorit earlier, like, I just don't know why she's acting like that. Like, I've been in that situation before. There's got to be a little bit of level of, humility and apology, and you don't want to act like you really don't care, And it's true. It's like, I know, Erika, that you don't give two fucks, but maybe try to act like you give at least one, mind you. Remember when her little son Jagger goes, bad guy, to Erika at the dinner? I think it was at a lunch at Villa Blanc. Jagger's a psychic. Anyway, Sutton's shaking. Who the fuck wouldn't be? We were shaking watching it. She goes out. She's like, I am leaving. And she's like, what is this talk about suit? And then Kyle comes out and she's like, Sutton, she can't sue you. She can't sue you. And I thought that was interesting, because we know, or if you don't, that when you sign up for Real Housewives of anything, they have a contract where you cannot personally sue each other unless like there's bodily harm. So you can't sue each other for slander and stuff for what is said on the show. That's my understanding. So basically, Erika was threatening Sutton that she better stop talking. She better stop questioning her, because by questioning her, Erika interpreted it as, by you questioning what I've said, you are in fact calling me a liar, and therefore that's slanderous because I'm not a liar, and therefore I'm going to sue you for slander. But she didn't say, I'm going to sue you. She said, basically, Tom is going to sue you. She's like, Tom's not dead. You want to go up against Tom? Well, I thought you said that Tom was of diminished capacity, that he'd gotten in a car accident, that he's rolled over 5 times, that he woke up 12 hours later, that he had a broken collarbone and a broken ankle. But a year and a half ago, he was fine when that happened. And now he was, never been the same since. And he was cruel to you, and he was cheating on you, and he was verbally abusive, and he doesn't know where he is. But he's going to sue Sutton if she doesn't shut the fuck up at this dinner at, Kathy Hilton's house, where there's cameras everywhere. While this is going on, Rinna, I think, is still sitting there, and they have this, and she's playing with the dog, and she's out of it. She apparently got so drunk after 2 drinks while wearing her Billy Ray Cyrus haircut and her purple suit that she doesn't even know what's going on, because the next day she goes and asks Garcelle to recap it, even though she was sitting there. And Garcelle's like, what, you weren't there? And she's like, well, Rita was pretty drunk. Drunk Rita is a drunk Rita. And when Rita has more than 2 drinks, I am fucking wasted. I think it was that's her way to stay loyal to Erika without having to really comment in the moment, is what I think. So she was like, I'm going to either get drunk or pretend that I'm drunk and look like I'm just looking at this little dog. It looked like Erika was very satisfied once Sutton left. She had absolutely no remorse about it. They clearly dislike each other, and I think that's continuing on. But yeah, I think that whole suing thing was then Kyle trying to say, don't worry, you can't be sued. Like, I know this because I've been on the show for 10 years. But that's why Erika was threatening, like, oh, Tom might sue you. I mean, do you imagine? But at the time, it would scare the shit out of me too. Someone super litigious like that, who she said she could never divorce because he would make her life hell and she'd end up penniless. So do you really want to go? We don't remember, everyone, this was 6 months ago or more. So a lot has happened since this scene was filmed. And I think people on the opposite side of Tom Girardi, including Sutton, feel a lot more confident today than they would have 6 or 7 months ago when this was filmed. So the reunion did happen. I believe it happened on Friday. I can't even imagine what went down there. From what I've seen, I don't know if this is specifically linked or what, but the seating arrangement is obviously Andy in the middle. And on one side, it's Sutton Garcelle, definitely on one side. And on the other side, it's, it's Lisa, Rinna, and Erika, and Kyle and Dorit, I think. And then, yeah, and I think Kathy is opposite. Anyway, that one's going to be good. What also started was the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City last night. And this is going to also be a great one to watch. If you've never watched it before, I say you start watching it. It is worth it because just like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, in real time, Jen Shah, who I never liked, always thought she was full of shit, hated how much she flashed her stupid money, hated her stupid, I'm shamazing, it's the chalet, and all this shit, and all her assistants, and all her labely clothes, and just her face and her aggression. I've never liked her, did not like her last season. She, in fact, has been arrested and is in a lot of trouble. If you listen to Juicy Scoop, you know the story. Doing fraud, a telemarketing scam that goes really deep that I've explained in other episodes. So again, now we are watching it's the first episode. They show a preview of what the season is when she gets arrested. But prior to this, everything is okay. And we're seeing that she gets with one of the girls and she says, I did go through a tough time with my husband. We've been married so long, but we contemplated divorce between filming and now, but we worked it out and all this. So, we all are, what is going to happen to this woman? Now, experts are saying she absolutely will be doing time. And I mean, real time, like at least several years. She is very guilty. Everyone under her have either done plea deals or are currently serving. So she is the head of the snake of this pyramid scheme. Oh, by the way, Amazon Prime, Lula Rich, about all these, about the pyramids, the multi-level marketing of selling these clothing lines of LuLaRoe with the leggings and everything. There's been podcasts about it. There's been news articles. There's been lots of revealing things on social media about it. Amazon Prime is doing a several parts documentary series on it. And I think 1 or 2 are out. I watched last night's episode of the first one, and it's very interesting, very juicy. So once we get a little more into it, like in a couple weeks, I'm going to go deep on that. Anyway, the season looks to be juicy. The other part is Meredith, who is a fashion designer, and she's got Brooks Marks, her son, who has his copycat sweatsuit on. He tried to be a fashion designer last year. She's not happy with Jen Shah, the criminal, because Jen Shah came after her and her son Brooks, insinuating that his sexuality is that he's gay. And Meredith is like, I don't even know about Brooks' sexuality. He doesn't even talk about it with me. And then, he's my child. And she's, liking things on social media that are derogatory towards Brooks. Someone said he's a little entitled twink. And she liked it and wrote 100%. So I am done with Jen Shah. She's not a friend of mine. I don't like her. And Heather Gay, who owns the Beauty Lab, who is really, everyone really loved her last season. She was friendly with Jen Shah, but they had some issues, fighting issues throughout the season. They didn't end well on the reunion. She was on Watch What Happens Live last night, and she said, my job, Andy asked, how do you feel about Jen Shah and all the accusations, these criminal charges that she is facing against the federal government? And she said, my job is to be Jen Shah's friend. And whether her business is illegal or not is irrelevant. I like Heather Gay. I had lots of conversation. I went to the Beauty Lab. I had a long conversation with her. I reached out to her to be on Juicy Scoop before I watched Watch What Happens Live. I still want her on Juicy Scoop because I want to ask her about it. Is she saying that her job is her job on the show? She has to be friends with her castmate because the show is about filming together and doing things together. So she's going to put blinders on and be the friend because that's what makes a good show, which is in fact her job. Or is she saying my job in life is to be a good friend and I don't have to ask these questions? People are blown away by that comment. I'm sure she's woke up to not a fun day of social media comments going at her, because I'm confused by it too. She also said, I always knew that her business was questionable. I never understood it. It wasn't something I'd want to do. I kind of, basically, I'm surmising it, but basically she said, I thought it was shady. I didn't think it was illegal, but whether it was or not is irrelevant to me. So I don't know if she's going to regret those comments today. I don't know. But currently today, they are friends. And so I think it'll make for a very interesting season because they weren't on good terms when last season ended, and now they are. And in between, she's been arrested for stealing so much money and tricking people, like not only just stealing, but like manipulating them, thinking they're going to get it back, do this other program. We're going to help you have your own business. That's what I really think is really sad about what Jen Shah did. And is that part of the scam is thinking that you're going to have your own business and they're going to help you build these websites and all this stuff. It's one thing to trick someone, but I think any scam that involves like love or potential business or anything is just more heartbreaking than someone saying, send me $5,000 and I'll send you this item, and then you never get the item and you're out the $5,000. That's one kind of crime. But one that keeps you thinking that this person is your friend, your consultant, someone you're in love with, someone you're gonna make your life better. You're gonna be an independent woman. You're gonna start your own business from home. I just think that is so much worse because it's such a deeper deception than just taking your money. It really is. I think it's worse than a typical Ponzi scheme, quite honestly, because it's like I said, a hope for a better life. All right, you guys, now I'm very excited for you to enjoy this great interview with Julia Haart, star of the Netflix hit reality show. A lot of you really have enjoyed it. It's My Unorthodox Life with Julia Haart. Here we go. Hi, if you're watching this interview on YouTube, unfortunately, the video portion for Julia was no longer captured, but the rest of the interview, which is so juicy, you can listen to where you would listen to podcasts. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you listen to the podcast, you can listen to the rest of this episode there.
So you fall in love, and this is my question, a big question. I mean, we love watching these shows like yours, the Kardashians, whatever, because it's like, I love looking at the real estate, the closet, the clothes. Is it hard to, and I know this sounds like a crazy question, but is it hard to go from living a normal life of medium, like middle class, to then all of a sudden knowing that like, how do you even know to live like a wealthy person? Like, is it a very easy learning curve? Like, I wouldn't know how to hire staff and for my home and have a closet that twirls around and different dishes and how to speak to people that all work for me. Like if you didn't come from that, I actually think it would be kind of difficult, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's really easy to just all of a
honestly,
sudden
the real transition that was the difficult one was being out of my world into this world. That was the difficult transition. Forget about plates. You know, I mean, I had staff in my life in Muncie, New York, right? I had a nanny, I had a cleaning lady.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes, I did. Is when I walked out the door, I walked out with none of that, right? I left everything behind and I was happy to do it because I was going to make it on my own way. That wasn't the difficult part. The real difficult part was leaving the 1800s and going into the 21st century. I'd never been to a club. I'd never been on a date with someone I had chosen. I'd never been a girlfriend. I didn't know how to do anything. It wasn't being married that was difficult. It was living. It was walking down the street that felt strange. Everything was new to me. You know, the people who met me that first year, they always joke around that I was like a little 5-year-old in a candy store. My eyes were like this. Whoa, pretty much all day, every day for the first at least 3 years of my walking out the door, because everything was amazing to me. Everything was incredible. Everything felt different. You know, I always say I'm a collector of firsts, because generally when you experience those first, you're a young person, you're a teenager. And so as teenagers, we're not really adept at marking special new experiences because everything is new for us, right? You're used to doing something new that day and doing because you're young and the whole world feels new to you. Well, that's what it felt like to me. So I felt like a child. I always say I'm 50, but I'm also 8.
Were you able to watch TV?
So the last 8 years before I left, I really tried to educate myself. I became a voracious reader. I read everything I could get my hands on. I watched every movie I could find, but it was still being on the outside looking in. I think the two ways I always explain it are very simple. One would be, I would say that imagine if you've never tasted chocolate and you're watching someone on a screen and they're trying to explain to you what chocolate tastes like. And they open the bar and they show you the brown candy and they put it in their mouth and they're like, yes, it's sweet, but it has some tartness. Is that going to explain to you what chocolate tastes like? Do you now know what chocolate tastes like?
Right. No,
that's what it's like.
Right.
It's really like learning about another planet. Doesn't mean you know how to live there. So even though I was watching and reading, it isn't the same as living.
So when you met your husband and he asked you to marry him and you get married, and I mean, now you are incredibly wealthy. What is that like for your kids to just all of a sudden be like, wow, we're going to mom's and stepdad's house in the Hamptons? And like, is that a weird adjust? I mean, it's a fabulous one, but I would think it'd also be kind of strange. Like,
well, let's just remember two things. Number one, first of all, I made my own millions before I was married, right?
Right.
And I think, we as women should not perpetuate this idea that if you're a successful woman and you marry a successful man, that's somehow problematic.
I don't think
it's ridiculous.
No, I don't think it's problematic. I'm just saying,
honestly,
like,
when I took over the company, when I took over Elite World Group, it was valued at 90 million. And today it's valued at over $1 billion in 2 years with COVID. So, I think everything that I have done has been to prove that it isn't about someone else giving you something. It's about going and working for it yourself. And I'm very proud of what I've accomplished myself. And in terms of, giving your children comfort, I think, or a comfortable life, I think what's most important to remember is that it's not coming to you. I think to really spoil someone, it isn't about what they get. It's more about whether they think they deserve it. That's the question. And to me, as a parent, my job is, hey, we have, we travel to these beautiful places. We live in a beautiful home. As long as you don't think it's coming to you, as long as you don't take that for granted, you're fine. It's when you feel entitled, when people think, oh yes, I'm greater than you because I have X, that's when I have a problem with you. And that's something that I have tried very hard to remind all of my children, that it comes and goes, money, right? We've had both and we know what both are like. And it's about making sure that you are responsible and that you don't think you deserve it. That you remember that it is a gift and a blessing, and that you always have gratitude for everything that you're given.
So then how did I could imagine if anybody that would meet your family and hear your story, and, because all your kids are like so great and very, very likable, and your assistant, how did the show come about? Was it your idea to have a show? Did someone meet you and be like, you guys are made for TV? Was any children not excited to do the show, or was everyone like thrilled?
So we don't know each other really well, but you've seen me on TV. Do you think someone came to me or I went to them? What would your guess be?
I think you went to them.
Yes, indeed, I did. I don't wait for people to come to me. I go to them.
Yeah.
And that's what I want all the women in my company to learn how to do, is to take charge and not wait for someone to give them permission or ask. Go for what you want. And to me, the reason I did it took me 8 years. Let's be honest, I didn't do it right away. It did take me 8 years to drum up the courage, because I knew I would get attacked. I knew, people would try to confuse the issue and hide what was happening there by attacking me. Of course, I expected that. And it's not a fun thing to do. But I felt that if I don't have the courage to do it, then who will? If I, in my position, are too afraid to speak out, then no one will speak out. And so I felt that it was something that I have a responsibility to do, that it can help other women. And so I was going to go for it and do it. To your question as to who was concerned, it will be someone that will actually really shock you. My kids were all ecstatic, which actually really surprised me. Even Aaron wanted to do it. Like, at first I didn't even ask him to do it. I had told Netflix that he would not be on the show.
That's your youngest child.
My youngest,
yes.
Yeah. But, when I asked him, he's like, yeah, I was insulted you hadn't asked me yet. And so I was really happy to see that. The only person who actually didn't want to do the show, are you ready for this? Was Robert.
Oh, your assistant?
Robert, not my assistant, the CEO of my company.
Oh, okay. Oh,
my best friend in the world.
Yes.
He is the only person who gave me a hard time. And he's like, I don't know, I'm a little shy.
No, I'm sorry.
Look at him. He's a standout star.
So I'm sorry to call him your assistant, but that's what I'm thinking. Your right hand guy.
My right hand man.
Yes. I am shocked. I would have thought that he would have been excited, but then there was the part where you sprung on the dating coach, and then when the way he reacted, where he was not pleased about it, that now does make sense, that he is, maybe a little more private than
he was really shy, and he thought he wouldn't be good on camera. And I told him, you are born for the camera. Right. And of course he did fantastically well, and everyone loves him. And I was very happy and excited, but I had to kind of, do a little convincing over there, but I knew he was made for camera. So I wanted the world to see the same incredible man that I saw every day.
And then with Bathsheba and Ben, your daughter and son-in-law, now, like, they're still traditionally Jewish, and that was kind of interesting. And there was this one part where she comes out in a pair of tight jeans, and he's like, I still have an issue with you wearing pants. But then we see her wearing Lululemons and booty shorts and a short skirt. So my question was that kind of like something that maybe happened a while back, and then you guys revisited it to tell the story on the show? Or did it really go from wearing jeans to, okay, you can wear whatever you want now? Because that's what we're seeing in the show. And I know it's a reality show, but I know how things are sometimes not scripted, but let's share this conversation so that people understand what our journey was.
Exactly. What people don't also realize is that, it is a very slow and a very quick process at the same time. And I know that doesn't make sense, but here's my perfect way to explain it. When you're deprogramming yourself, when you're leaving a way of life that you've lived your entire life behind, it isn't a logical progression. So for example, I ate non-kosher food before I took off my wig. I took off my wig, but then I still was scared to put on pants. Like, there's no logic behind what thing you let go first. It's all personal. For example, my son Shlomo now drives on Shabbos, but is still afraid to eat non-kosher food. Like, everybody's journey through it is so different, which is why, you know, when people ask me, like, are you helping women in the community? What I keep on saying is I direct them to Footsteps, which is an organization that can help them, because you need psychiatrists, you need therapists, you need psychologists. Going through such a traumatic experience is mind-blowingly difficult. So everybody's journey is different. But Sheva, you know, it's like, it's almost as if when you stop doing something, it's like you let that guilt go and it's gone. Like, the day I took off my wig, I never looked back. I never felt guilty about it. I never felt bad about it. It just was one day I just said, okay, I'm ready. I took it off and that was it. And then I wore whatever the fuck I wanted on my head or not. Mm-hmm. So it's just, everybody's journey is totally different. So it literally, even though it feels so strange to an outsider, it's like once you realize that this whole not wearing pants thing is because you're being told that you're responsible for men's thoughts, once you realize how crazy that is, they come off. And then it's just over, and then you feel comfortable wearing whatever you want. Although I do still have some vestiges of that left. Like, I am still a bit shy about certain things that I know they make no sense, but it isn't a logical thing, you know?
Like what?
Oh gosh, like I don't think I'd be able to do nudity. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think I would be comfortable. And I totally respect women who are comfortable to do it. I think it's amazing and so cool. And I wish I could do that. But I guess, you know, being in that world for so long that I don't know, I'd be a bit too shy to do that.
I don't think that's weird. I mean, I've never done any nudity or been asked to or want to.
Who do.
Right,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
I feel great respect for them that they feel comfortable.
But are you comfortable? You have such a great body. You're petite, you're fit. Are you comfortable in a bikini, like on a vacation or?
Yeah, I will wear a bikini. I catch myself being a little shy about it, but I'll do it anyway, just because I feel like, Julia, you're being ridiculous. Wear the fucking bikini. But it's something that I do have to kind of talk myself into, although I do it. I definitely do it.
And I saw in following Bathsheba's Instagram that your ex-husband did get remarried, and they all
he left. He's out. He moved to a modern Orthodox community in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Oh, so that was my question, because I'm watching this wedding, and you know, I'm like, this looks just like a normal wedding. How could this be? So
it's still not a normal wedding. It's a much more modern wedding. So it's definitely different than the one I went to.
Right. I mean, the bride, you know, which is a woman, appears to be somewhat his age. She's very beautiful, but she's in a conservative wedding dress. Her daughters appear to be, I believe that her daughters appear kind of conservative wedding dresses. Your girls are in more what we would see most bridesmaids wearing. Yeah. And everyone seems really happy.
Still a separate wedding, right? But it wasn't as intense. As I'm saying, there's so many gradations. So that's why.
Did that make it?
Modern Orthodox Judaism is beautiful. I have no issue with it. Meaning, his fiance, now wife, I adore her. I'm obsessed with her. She's a businesswoman. She has a party planning business. She's super successful. And that entire community is like that. My son's school is a modern Orthodox school, but in there, women learn the Gemara and the Talmud. They go to college. Tons of kids from that school go to Ivy Leagues. That's why, to me, I keep on saying, it isn't about Judaism. Judaism can be beautiful. Religion can be beautiful. I think Islam is beautiful. I think Christianity is beautiful. It isn't about religion at all. It's it's when you take things to the extreme.
Yes, I agree.
When you take pride in not changing any rules that have been around for the last 5,000 years, some rules have got to change. That's the problem.
And so I assume when you did leave your husband, it wasn't something he was happy with. But now, 8 years later, seeing him with his wife, who you like, your
love.
son at a school that you are, approve of. I mean, he must
It's
look back and be
amazing.
like, thank you, Julia, for like leaving,
He
because
did.
I would have just been still in this
Yeah.
like loveless marriage with you, living this
Yeah.
life.
Exactly. Do you know that he actually did that? He called me now, I guess it's 2.5 weeks ago, and said, Julia, thank you. Because let's please remember that he was as much a victim as I was.
Mm-hmm.
That our marriage was miserable, not because he's a bad person at all. It's because he was taught his role as my husband was to police me. The week before I left, or a few weeks before I left, one of my friends, their child had gotten married, because, again, we have weddings every 5 minutes because everyone has lots of children and they get married as teenagers. So you're constantly at somebody's wedding. And a totally separate wedding, right? So a mechitza, that thing down the middle where men can't see women and women can't see men.
That's
right?
at a wedding, you mean?
Oh, yeah. All weddings in my community, men and women are completely separated, totally. You have, the man has his celebration. Yeah, the man has his celebration in one room with men. The woman has her celebration in one room with women. Then the man comes in the bedekin, that's like before the chuppah, right? Before the ceremony, he lifts her veil. That comes from the fact that in the Bible, Rachel got replaced by Leah, right? Lavan switched wives on Jacob. And so now it's the custom to lift the veil off the woman to make sure you're getting the right bride. The right bride. That's where it comes from, exactly. And then there's the chuppah, right? There's the wedding ceremony, and then the woman and man go out to something called the yichud room, which is the first time they're allowed to be alone together, right? Because in my world, you're not allowed to hold hands or kiss or be in a room alone until after you're married. So you don't actually kiss the person you're marrying until you're married, right? You can't shake hands. You can't be alone together. You're not allowed to be alone. So you go into the chuppah room because until you consummate the marriage, you're not actually legally married. So there you just kiss or hold hands, do something to show, hey, we're now married. And then you go back, and then the man goes with the men's side, and there's a giant wall in between, and the women are on the women's side, and they don't see each other until they go to the podium, the husband and wife, to sit and watch the two sides dancing. So I was at my friend's wedding, and it's only women. There's a giant wall separating the women and the men. And I got called into the rabbi's office after the wedding a few days later because my dancing was too provocative.
How long ago was this?
A few weeks before I left. A few weeks before I left. My dancing was too provocative. And I really was like, but who was I provoking? The guys were in a separate room, and there's no such thing as lesbianism. So what's the problem? Dance is body movement. But it wasn't just me who got called into the rabbi's office. My husband got called into the rabbi's office, and my husband was told, hey, control your wife, right? That's the idea. So it's not that I was miserable and unhappy because he's a bad person. I was miserable and happy because he was told and taught that it's his job and his responsibility to control his woman. And that was a problem.
So does your now husband, does he have adult children? Does he have children?
Yes.
From, and and you all get along, the kids all get along and everything?
They live really far away, so we don't get to see them. Like, one lives in Hong Kong. Yeah. But he just had a granddaughter.
Oh, so you get to be hot step grandmother?
So he just had a granddaughter, so we're very excited.
That's
for
very
him to
exciting
be
for you. Yeah. So where does the show lie now? Are you filming a second season? What's going on with it?
I'm legally not allowed to tell you.
Okay. All right. So, well, it would be fun to see more of this, like to see your ex-husband's, wife, and that I was like,
he sold his house. He's out. He moved into a modern Orthodox, beautiful community that I absolutely adore. And I'm so happy for him. And I love Aliza. She's unbelievable. I mean, I feel so lucky that she's part of our life. I'm really, really, really happy with her.
Yeah. Well, I
She's
love
awesome.
that it seems like the kids enjoy it too, because in watching their social media, it was cute watching them get excited that you guys had a big billboard in Times Square. And I know people really enjoy the show. And
Thank you.
so we see that you've written the first draft of the book on the show and you share it with them. And you share a lot about not only your own sexuality, lack of knowledge, awkwardness, but you end up sharing about your daughter, Bathsheba and Ben, being that they had obviously not had sex before marriage and really didn't like, you literally didn't know how to do it. And then they were sort of embarrassed that it was in the book, but obviously it should stay in the book because now we've seen it in the show. And how do they feel now? Now that everything literally is an open book, an open TV show, is there anything off limits now that you can discuss or can't discuss?
I did actually take things out of the book.
Oh, you did?
I did. Well, think of it this way. It was 1,740 pages.
It was.
It was.
Were you like typing it or like talking into a thing?
40 pages.
Did you type?
They told me to write a lot of details. I wrote a lot of details.
So did you like get on your computer and type every single word? Oh,
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wrote it myself, of course. I mean, it's my story, my voice.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. I have such a particular way of speaking and of articulating myself. I don't think anyone else could capture that. And so I figured, okay, if it's going to get written, I'm going to have to write it. And so
how many pages is it now?
It's a smidge over 500.
Oh,
so
wow.
much more palatable and readable than 1,740 pages. But of course I had to take a lot out. But what they didn't want in there was certain details that we did not read on the show. Mm-hmm. And I took out of the book. They let me keep in the main story because they understood what was so important about that main story. And you'll understand once you read it. It is important, that story, but I took out all the nitty gritty details. That's what they didn't want. They didn't like the details. And so I took it out. There was a scene that Shlomo didn't like. I took it out. I mean, again, yes, it's my story, but it's also my children's story. And of course I wanted to be respectful and make sure that I didn't put anything in there that they were unhappy with, for sure.
Okay, well now here I have a question. Did they all read all 1,700 pages to put stickies next to their name and bring it to you? Or did you alert them to chapter 4? Let me know if you're okay with it.
They just skimmed through and looked for their names. It's
as everyone
you can
does.
Put it on Word. You can just pop your name on Word and it'll show.
Oh, really making it easy. Because it's usually whenever my friends write a book that I know, I'm always excited to buy it. But I'll read it from beginning to end. But I have other friends that are like, well, I just skimmed for my name. Like they literally are like, did you say anything about me?
On Word, you can put in your name and it'll pop up every time it's out there. So that's what they did. Because of course,
that's a time saver.
Yeah, it's a time saver. Exactly.
Well, I'm so excited. I really enjoy the show. I definitely want to read the book because, again, I do have so many more questions, as I know people do. Because
the show is not about my past. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be. It was about my present. And we only brought in my past to explain why I work crazy hours, why I do what I do, because so much of it does have to do with the world I came from.
And I love shows when I say, and I didn't mean to insult you or anything about the money. I know you're successful on your own. I'm just saying it must just be interesting to just go from a normal life to an extremely glamorous life. And you're meeting all these exciting people and you're living in these beautiful places. And I love watching it. I love watching it.
I understand
because even with
but
my own,
it's because I'm on a mission. That's why. To me, it's all part of a mission. It makes life so much easier when you don't think always about yourself.
Yeah.
When you think, okay, how will this help me? How can this money help me make this army of financially independent women? Yeah. How can my position help to change the story? How can my position help to make enough noise so that the way that women are treated is not perpetuated? And so I think when you have a mission and a goal, it makes everything else so much easier because it isn't about you. It's about the mission.
Okay, my other question is about clothing. Now, even though you have a fabulous closet and it's big and you have a nice other home, everybody has to go through and get rid of stuff to make room for other stuff. You know, like are you a good person as far as like editing out stuff and giving things away, or, you know, or are you someone that, because all your clothes are so nice and you still are tiny and fitting in them, is it hard to give away these great designer things? Because literally, you know, you got to make room for the things you're actually wearing.
So it's the funny thing is I love giving away clothes. I take massive joy. In fact, it's when I'm cleaning, you know, some people, Batsheva loves to hoard things, you know, not hoard, but I mean, she saves.
It's hard to let go. It's what it's like, you're right, but I might want to wear this.
Yeah. I love to let it go. You know, I'm all about the reinvention, right? So generally what ends up happening is once I think, okay, I'm not going to be wearing this anymore, first optionality goes to the kids, my daughters. So they come in and they pick out the stuff that they want. Whatever they don't choose, I then offer to my staff, to my maids and people who work for me, and asking them if they want any of that clothing. If then they pick out the things that they want, and then whatever is left gets donated. That's what we do with the clothes.
Well, I mean, you're very tiny, so I don't think a lot of people could fit in like a skirt. Like maybe I could get a jacket, maybe I could get a bag, but like, you know, you're just.
Hey, in my next life, I'm going to be a 6-foot-tall lesbian. I have decided.
Yeah, I mean, you're just like a little peanut. Like, how tall are you?
I'm 5 feet and half an inch. I'm very proud of that half an inch. Don't forget that half an inch.
But you know, I love the way you dress. I love, and all your kids have great style. So I mean, it is fun. But yeah, I was literally, I mean, I do think like that because I have a hard time going, Heather,
so
you're never going to choose this dress. Yeah, you're like, I'm never going to choose this dress again. But then I'll give stuff away. And then about 6 months later, I've been like, oh, that dress would have been good for this. So it's hard. I force myself more and more. I'm like, go.
I love giving things away. I'm a big.
But I'm saying I could literally, you know, most people really probably only wear like 10 to 15% of their closet. But, and you're like, I could, you know, let me get like, I could have a beautifully designed closet where there's room. If I could just do it and tell myself, it's like an inner dialogue.
I'll come over and help you. I'm so good at cleaning house.
I'm so jealous of people that are good like that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm not sentimental in that way at all. Like when it's ready to go, it's let it go, let someone else enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's great.
So I can come over and help you out with that if you need help.
Oh my God. Could anything better than having you walk in with your heels and like be like, Heather, no.
Oh my God, how fun would that be?
I would love it. Cause I mean, you sometimes you need
totally do that.
You need a person.
Things out of my closet.
Yeah.
I'll come throw things out in yours.
Exactly. Well, everybody can watch the entire series right now on Netflix. How many episodes is it?
9.
And I think I'm like on 7. I like to save things. So I have like 2 more left. And
watch it immediately. Come on.
Well, you know, I like to just, you know, I don't like to like binge stuff because I really like your show. I really liked White Lotus, so I didn't want to binge it all in a day. I like to like save things that I like because there isn't that much stuff I really am excited for. So, and then the book comes out in March, and tell everybody where they can follow you and all of that.
So my book comes out in March, but it is available for pre-sale on Amazon and on Barnes & Noble. It's called Brazen. And of course, you can find me at Julia Haart on Instagram and TikTok, and the television show My Unorthodox Life on Netflix.
Well, I really enjoyed talking to Julia Haart. Watch the show, pre-order her book. Very juicy. We actually went on and talked a little bit more. Hopefully she'll be able to make my show when I'm in New York at the City Winery with Chris Frangiola. That's November 5th and 6th. And she might have invited me over to her penthouse for tea or lunch or something. So keep your fingers crossed. I'd love to do that. And if you want to hear more about that personal side of my life, you go to Patreon at heathermcdonald.net. heathermcdonald.net, click on Patreon. And I really get a lot of wonderful messages. And I just want to read one to you because it means a lot to me. Shannon, not my sister, but another Shannon, wrote, I've listened to every episode, including every Patreon episode, and I have to say, hands down, this is the best podcast I have in my queue. I play it first thing when I wake up, whenever it's available. Heather gives the real juice, which others claim to do but don't, and manages to be funny, empathetic, and 100% relatable. She's everything you're missing if you haven't subscribed. So take her advice, subscribe, tell a friend, join Patreon, and I really appreciate it.